I really like last year's Galaxy A33. I called it the best hidden gem in the sea of smartphones because of its value. And now we have the new Galaxy A34 with us. What has changed, and can I call this new one a hidden gem too? We'll go through our usual points, everything timestamped down below here, and then evaluate once again if we can actually call this phone a hidden gem. And a quick disclaimer before we begin, I will have to say that this phone is not actually a retail unit, so the firmware might be a bit different from what you will get when you purchase it, so do keep that in mind. So in this review, we will also be comparing the Galaxy A34 with the Galaxy A54 that we have here. So I do highly recommend you to watch the review of the A54 before getting into this review. So we'll start off with the design. The design language is literally the same with the Galaxy A54. From afar, I'm sure that many people will see this and think that it's the new Galaxy S23 because they are all using the same individual protruding circles for each camera. I'm not complaining about this design because it looks absolutely minimalistic and gorgeous, but it'll get boring real soon since so many devices are using the exact same design language. The colors available for the Galaxy A34 is also very similar to the A54. So we have lime, violet, silver, and graphite color. What's different though is the finish at the back panel. The Galaxy A34 retains the matte plastic finish, which I think is a lot better than the glossy plastic finish on the Galaxy A54. I also need to point this out. The Galaxy A34 is much larger than the Galaxy A33 from last year, and even larger than the Galaxy A54 as well. And for that, we'll now have to talk about the display. The Galaxy A34 is now using a massive 6.6-inch Super AMOLED screen with 2340 by 1080 pixels in resolution, and while that 0.2-inch increment doesn't sound like much, I can assure you that it feels absolutely massive when you hold it in your hands. And the display itself also got a pretty massive upgrade as well, not only the size, pun intended. It now has 120Hz refresh rate, and the maximum possible brightness on this phone is also impressive. I used the phone under direct bright sunlight and I can clearly see what's happening on the screen. Our colorimeter also reports that this screen can go up to around 1000 nits brightness maximum. And our colorimeter also reports that the color accuracy of this screen is impressive, covering 100% of sRGB and 99.95% of DCI-P3 color gamuts, but the delta A number is rather high at 3.795. All of those numbers aside, I'm still going to say that this is going to be one of the best screens for a mid-range smartphone so far. The performance is also rather weird. It's no slouch honestly, so for whatever reason, Samsung decided to stuff in a MediaTek Dimensity 1080 chipset to the Galaxy A54, and surprisingly, this chipset can go about 50 FPS on average on Genshin Impact at the lowest graphical settings. Of course, it does fluctuate a bit and it has a few major stutters here and there, but overall I would say that the gaming experience is very good. I can't check the render resolution since GPU watch is totally not working on this phone because it's not a retail unit, but hey, it does look great to me and that's all that matters. Then comes the battery life. Using the standardized testing methodology of PCMark locked at 100 nits of brightness, we can get about 14.5 hours, and by that I'm really impressed by the efficiency of the MediaTek Dimensity 1080 chipset because this is also using a 5000 mAh battery just like the Galaxy A54. Oh, before I forget, the Galaxy A34 also got the battery bypass feature as well, so just remember to perform the ritual to summon this feature, and if you want to know how to perform the ritual, then check out our video at the top right corner there. As for the charging time of this phone, we are using our usual Ugreen 100W GAN charger, and it takes about 75 minutes to charge from 15% to completion, and I'm gonna say the same thing as the Galaxy A54. I think Samsung can push the charging speed higher because the temperature is always kept below 37.5 degrees Celsius. There is some headroom to charge it faster since other phone companies that push charging speed higher can reach about 40 degrees Celsius at most, so that 2.5 degrees Celsius delta that we have now, yeah, Samsung can make use of that. Okay, let's talk about the cameras now. From what I can find out, the Galaxy A34 is using the same cameras with the A33, but Samsung removed the useless depth sensor, so thank you for doing that. And the pictures coming out of the camera does look good, but I'm going to be straightforward with you here. The white balance is totally off. It does look a lot bluer than what it is supposed to be. And yeah, this picture, I took it during the golden hour and it does look very weird. The exposure control is a little bit weird as well. It's a bright sunny day, but everything does look a bit dark. Indoor shots do look okay, and I can see the dog's individual strands of hair. And yeah, this picture does look like a jump scare, and I apologize for that. Night shots, however, they do look fantastic. No complaints other than the noise level, but I do think that it's okay for social media purposes. And the ultra-wide angle camera is going to be a rough one. The overall image is just not going to be as sharp, but I do think that the overall picture is good enough for social media. Even the night shots are good enough. However, it also has the blue tint that the main camera has. I do think that a software update can fix this white balance issue, and that is why I say that this phone is not particularly a retail unit, so when you eventually purchase this phone and get it in your hands, things might change. I also want to quickly highlight the macro camera as well. It can take pictures like this, and once again, I do prefer an auto-focusing macro camera instead of these kind of fixed focus ones. So maybe in the next Galaxy A series smartphone. This selfie camera, oh yes, I'm not really a big fan of selfies, but here's what it looks like if you're gonna take selfies with your Galaxy A34. The camera capabilities of this phone is exactly the same as the Galaxy A54, so we can film at 4K 30fps or 1080p 60fps, but it's going to be using EIS, so it looks absolutely nauseating. We'll have to turn it down to 1080p 30fps for the real OIS to kick in, and that looks a lot better. It's just too bad that we have to use 30fps for such stabilization. The overall video quality does look decent as well. Now for the software, we don't really have much to talk about since it is using the same One UI 5.1 on top of Android 13 like the Galaxy A54. It does have all of the features that I use on a nearly daily basis, Edge panel and also moods and routines, but I can't check if Samsung Pay works or not since once again this is not exactly a retail unit. And I have no idea what's the region firmware that it's using. However, if I check the phone's user manual that is available on Samsung's website, it does say that Samsung Pay is supported. I also want to quickly highlight that Samsung promised 4 generations of Android version upgrades and 5 years of security patches for both the Galaxy A54 and A34. Alright, a few more things to mention. The Galaxy A34 still has IP67 rating, which is fantastic. And it also has a dedicated nano SIM card slot and another combo slot, so you can stuff in a micro SD card if you want to. So that leaves us with the conclusion. I do not have the price for this phone at the time of this recording, so I'll leave all of the information down in the description below or in the pinned comment when I have it. Obviously, I do think that the A34 has to be lower in terms of price compared to the Galaxy A54. And from what I have tested, I do think that the A34 will be better than the A54 in terms of value. Yes, we'll have a bigger camera notch, and I can live with that honestly. We do have a better battery life, better performance for gaming, and arguably better matte finish for the back panel here too. So that's all we have to share with you about the Galaxy A34. Do remember to check back before making your purchase because I will be updating the price down in the description below or in the pinned comment so that we can have a more conclusive review with the price in mind. So check back later. Also, do let me know, will you pick the A34 or the Galaxy A54? I would love to hear your comments, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.